Well, if this doesn't titillate your sensibilities, here I got a 56 Pro cabinet. It was recovered by Fender in the 60s to black. Just gluing down some of the Tolex. I got to admit, I jumped the gun a little bit on this. I couldn't wait to videotape it. I jumped the gun. So anyway, here's the black Tolex. My buddy Chewy's JBL is standing in. I did a little cleaning of the grill cloth. Hang on a minute, I'll so when I got it, this grill cloth was so filthy, and someone robbed the 60s logo that was installed. But I took some Woolite bubbling cleanser and brushed this off. You can hardly see that old footprint, so I'm gonna maybe dust a little bit of brownish amber lacquer on there and ignore it. It's got the original baffle. Let's flip it over. Original baffle, original screws. Fender put a 60s handle on there. I'm just going to put a little generic Fender logo on the front. I have one kicking around. I think it was an old Bronco solid state that gave up the ghost, and I snagged the logo off it. Anyway, it's not going to be 100% Fender because I'm going to put a Bluesmaster chassis in here. Anyway, stay tuned. We'll try and document it as we go. Okay, here's some of the Tolex being glued back down. I use Tight Bond to glue Tolex down. They used, I've heard they used hide glue. But, you know, that stuff's not politically correct anymore because, you know, it's made out of poor, misused horses. You know, rather than turn them into glue, they give them to the south of the border friends who literally work them to death. Much better fate than turning them into glue, you know, or putting them in the backyard. And I do admit I hoard the butter wax paper because the wax paper police, you know, have decreed that wax paper is getting harder and harder to find. Yeah, because it's got petroleum products. Anyways, so hopefully we can continue to get wax paper from our butter, and so I'm hoarding it for a rainy day. Anyways, that is how I glue Tolex down. Well, I couldn't resist just throwing the chassis in there just to see how it fit in here. It's sure is a nice, I mean, it's nothing beats a beat-up old Tweed, let's face it. However, this is probably one of the second best, is a recover by Fender in the 60s with real Fender Tolex. Now, this chassis donated by my buddy Bill Odell. Yes. I'm not calling myself a master, but I'm pretty proud to have one of these. There's not many of these out there. Anyways, there it is. Nice job. I'm excited about this. And there it sits, broken-hearted, etc., etc., etc. You know, it was just that logo, I just grabbed it off a modern solid-state Bronco that had fried. And I don't think I'm going to be shelling out for the original logo anytime soon. Alright, so here's my tentative component board. I've gone through here and I've got all these resistors pretty close to 1 or 2% here. I ordered this from Mojo Tone, this board, and I had to put an eyelet there. They left it out. This is a little bit experimental here, per my buddy Bill Odell with these phase inverters. This is a really nice 1% resistor. This one over here also. Really, really nice stuff. And I put little, this is a little bit of an idea here. Let's see if you can see that. I put little loops there for the ground so that you're not grounding these directly to the chassis. Let me flip that over, I'll show you. So you're not grounding these caps directly to the chassis because they do have a shelf life, and I don't want to be cussing myself out in 15 years or somebody else cussing me out in 30 years or 40 years. Geez, I couldn't find anything in a lower voltage. Well, I'm waiting for the transformers to arrive in the mail, so I thought I'd start wiring up preamp. Here's the way I wire these jacks, very much like Fender. In fact, as close to Fender as I can do it. This one's already in, and then look what I got back here. Talk about Mojo. Mustard cap. Yellow Astrons. I don't know if that came out. I'm going to look through there. Oh yeah, you can't use those because they're leaky. Well, not in that circuit. There's such low voltage there. It doesn't matter. They respond really well. So there they are. Some really nice yellow caps and a nice mustard cap. Got my grounds ready. Onward. I'll never forget one time driving with Pinetop Perkins, and we drove by a battleship, and he looked at it and he said, "Ain't that a mess?" Anyways, so this is my tentative wiring for this upcoming Pro clone. Everybody does things their own way. You know, I'm following Fender the way they did it, running wires under. You know, I've kind of got my own color code going here. I picked up some cool wire on eBay, so I kind of got my own color code going. I'm doing the grids in yellow. I'm doing the preamp in white, except where it's going directly to it. Well, anyways, I'm doing the grids in yellow, the plates in red and black, and the cathodes in black. Just titillate my sensibilities and kind of keep track of stuff where it goes under the board and comes back out. Anyway, I got up to the power supply here, and I'm going to wait on that. Did mostly that, and then, yeah, all right. Onward. Well, I got these classic tones all installed on this custom-made Bluesmaster chassis. Whoever did the chassis, however, didn't put the holes in the right spot for the grommets, for the wiring to go through. But that's okay. I drilled an extra hole and put a grommet in there. No problem. There's extra wires. I got the multi-ohm output transformer.
Okay,
Hang on,
so I got the
power transformer almost all wired up. I'm saving the heater wires for last when everything else is in. Here's your bias tap. It's 50, I think it's 50 volts. And got everything correctly wired up there. Of course, there's a gaping hole where they want to put a standby switch, which I'm going to probably put something else there, maybe a negative feedback switch or something. And I didn't do the pilot light, saving that for last. So over here with the output transformer, we got I got a 2.7, so I can throw a 310 baffle in there. I got my 4 ohm, so I can throw a 2 10s in there. I can actually just make a switch and do 2 10s or 4 8s, which is what this may end up having. And then I got my 8 ohm for 15. So I drilled an extra hole down here, so they're all going to be wired up and labeled, and so I have a lot of options here. It probably, at first, it's going to end up as originally planned in this cabinet, but at some point I'm going to switch my other 8 ohm head into this cabinet and put this in the Pro with the multi baffle options, because I want to kind of just keep this one as a true to a 50s, although of course they didn't have that, but okay. By the way, to add to the chaos, and I haven't been documenting this except for with photos, to add to the chaos, I'm building another one for my pal Chewy. This one is a Mojo Tone kit. But I'm not going to elaborate on that other than to say it's a pretty cool kit. And of course I had to add in some different caps than the dreaded cursed orange drops. But anyways, don't pay any attention to that. Onward. So here is my bias pot ready to go. It came out of a cannibalized Shure Vocal Master, I believe. And that little L bracket is from a acoustic, a floating pickup assembly that I decided I was not going to use. So makes a really nice snug little pot there. So I relented to the naggings of my amp guru, and I'm ordering 2 more of these. So just waiting on the mail. And then we're ready to wire this sucker in. Thanks, Bill. Well, boy, howdy. Here's my final incarnation. All right, Bill, you happy? Are you happy, Bill? Okay. Ready to be soldered in. Okay, one last thing here before I start. You see, I got a little ground loop that I put in there so that I can easily remove. So I didn't actually solder the components to the chassis. I soldered a heavy wire with a loop on it, so some guy in the future can unsolder the components. Okay, I'm commencing wiring. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go all the way across. This mess here is going to gradually clean up. I know it's hard to believe right now. Okay, here's a little progress report. Preamp wired all the way over to the phase inverters. You know, I've used these Black Beauties. These are 60s, you know, and I get some crap from people. I've built 6 or 7 amps using these, and they work great. I like them. This Astron here, we'll see. I like it. It titillates my sensibilities, but we'll see. These are real stable, thanks to Bill. I gave me these. These are low 1. And there's a reason for that. Thanks to Bill Odell. These I can use. I'm glad to use these in this circuit because the leakage is not an issue here. You know, Bill Odell here, he actually cornered the market on these paper and oil. He actually owns every single paper and oil cap ever made. He was pre-ordering them before they were made back in the late 40s. You know, so anyways, definitely some progress here. Okay, all things being equal, I've got everything wired up all the way across until the pilot light and the filament wires. That's all I got to do. That's it. Okay, so I did some preliminary startup, which I won't bore you with. Just suffice to say that all the voltages, the AC voltages and the high current DC voltages, all were totally happening, and I'm just going to plug this into my Uncle Doug patented current limiter and see what happens. So here we go. I'm plugging it in. First time startup here. And I got a green pilot light, which I thought was pretty cool. All the tubes seem to be lighting up nicely. And I've got a cord plugged into the channel, and wow, okay, we have action. All right. Just going to do a quick bias and throw it in the cabinet. All right, onward. By the way, thank you, Todd Sims, for that super cool rectifier tube, U.S. Navy 1942. And I got some cool, it's a matched pair, believe it or not. 5881s. Alrighty, folks. Here's a final look over of the 5E5B 1956 cabinet with the meets the Bluesmaster home brewed chassis. So thanks again to Todd Sims for these cool chicken heads. Right here, I'm probably going to put a negative feedback switch, 3-way switch there. Once again, that's a non-original, you know, I just put it on there because it just looks naked without it. This thing's in nice shape. And you peek at the the orange JBL. I got some Joint Army Navy preamp tubes in there, and a couple of modern 5881s, and the 1942 274B rectifier. Nice rectum fryer. All right, we're going to give it a little sound test. And I do get a little bit of buzz at the on the speaker, just a little bit. It probably is going to need a recone at some point, but still sounds good. And go. I've got the controls all straight up and down. There's a buzz. I'm sorry about the buzz. It's my basement. Pretty gorgeous. Okay, I'm not going to crank it up and bore you at home. This basically wraps up the marriage of the Bluesmaster head with the 5EB Tweed Pro, professionally recovered, I believe, by Fender in the 60s. It's gorgeous. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps.